All right, let's see if I actually got the tech on this to work. No clue. First time using StreamYard. Let's see if it actually. Wow, this did work. This worked on Twitter, believe it or not. Let me get this. How about Safe Space with Wob? I gotta always name the new content. All right, we are back. I think I figured it out. I'm gonna post this. Let me enter the chat so I can see what you guys are talking about. There you are. What's good, everybody? So, fancy seeing you all here at this hour. With everything that's going on in the world of basketball, in the world of WOB, I understand that there are now multiple, borderline too many ways of accessing WOB content. And what we have lost is that post game show, right? Between myself and the community. So I found a partner in Profit X in which our intentions certainly aligned here in what it is I'm looking to do with this time I have available during the day. So Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for the remainder of the season. Thought it would be a good idea. While this isn't necessarily a radio roulette or a buckets, I thought it might be a fun 45 minutes for the chat to come in here and ask what's up. We could talk about games coming up on the slate tonight. Can anyone in the chat see me? First and foremost, I can't see you just yet. You know what I think I need to do? Give me a second. We're all learning new technology here because traditionally I'm an OBS guy that just goes straight from the platform, can read the comments, but because this is now on X as well as all these other platforms, can anybody comment? Let's see. Oh, there it is. Now I can see you. What's up? First comment I see is from Cole Hassel, who says, Nico Harrison ruined my life. Okay, now I know the chat is working. What's going on? So, once again, if you're just joining us, for these 45 minutes, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, from roughly, let's call it 3 or 3:15 Pacific time, 6 Eastern, all the way through tip-offs, I'm going to be in here just shooting the shit. This is not meant to be a formal show. I have plenty of those. You guys have 3 hours a day on radio, in the Bleacher Report app, everywhere else. But this is meant to be just me in the comment section. Now, very similar to some content that I've produced in the past, we want to support our partners as well. So if you are going to be bringing up anything NBA related, well, good news is we have ProfitX, and I'm going to be using the product in real time to answer some of these questions and go through everything that's going on tonight. So it's, once again, no clue what the intention of this show is, but it's going to be one of those community-driven programs where I'm here just to answer any questions that you guys have in the comments section, the majority of which I'll be taking from the Twitter side, but we are live on ProfitX's Twitch, YouTube, and X channels as well. That's right. Pre-game show, we are indeed back. So before we get, I'll go full screen here to come back to you and read the comments for a little bit. And someone asked, Wob, what's the real prop slate tomorrow? What are you talking about? You have to be more specific. I will be reading every single comment over here. So if you're going to be coming at me, make sure you come speaking English, por favor. What is the prop slate for tomorrow? You talking player props? Are you talking Celtics, Lakers? You want to talk about the game last night? That's what this show is meant for. I'm not coming in here with an agenda. You guys can dictate. No safest space with Wob. Better believe that. Yeah. So now another season-ending injury to Prosper for the Dallas Mavericks. Does that mean they have 7 guys tonight? No, because they have 8 because they got Caleb Martin back. The craziest part about that, all the trade shit that went down. So obviously, the look is what's going to be talked about. How on earth did they trade Quentin Grimes? Quentin Grimes is even if you didn't want to come to terms on an extension, you would still have him in restricted free agency. He's still on his rookie deal. Worst comes to worst, you just offer him there's a qualifying offer there. They traded Quentin Grimes for Caleb Martin so that they could surround Anthony Davis and Kyrie with more vets just to shove their chips even more into the middle than they already have. I love using this poker analogy. What are they tonight, by the way? They got to be huge dogs. Let's use Profit X here to. Oh, they're right here on the screen, right in the middle. So with that news today, they're 11-point dogs at home against the Memphis Grizzlies. Woof. We're on a losing streak of their own. Like Quentin Grimes, man, if you're looking for, because you knew Kyrie was going to need an additional creator in that backcourt, you don't want to have to rely on Spencer Dinwiddie. Klay Thompson isn't an off the dribble type guy, but what we've seen from Quentin Grimes in Philadelphia, this guy is like the spearhead of the offense. That 40-plus point game he had on national television, everything's been running through him. He would have been the perfect Dallas Maverick, and they traded him too. I'm going to repeat myself for those of you that have been listening to some of the other programs that I do, but the analogy I made with Nico Harrison was him at a poker table. When you take a cash advance out from the ATM, not only are you taking your daily limit out, but you're also taking interest out on a cash advance. You sit at a poker table, there's $100 in the pot, yet you come in there and you bet 10,000. Why are you betting $10,000 to win that little amount of money? You better have the best hand, and you better hope someone isn't dealt aces, because they're going to call you. And guess what happened? All of that unnecessary risk went into the pot with one strategy: to win now. It was simply an unacceptable result for their Dallas Mavericks players to get injured. And yes, we all know injuries happen, but they could not happen to the Mavericks. That's the spot that you put yourself in. And they did. In this win now strategy, you could have seen the vision of what Nico Harrison had in mind with the 2.5 quarters that Anthony Davis played against the Houston Rockets. Could see the vision of, like maybe they are better today than they were yesterday, even with losing Luka. But best ability in the NBA is availability. He gets hurt, Kyrie gets hurt, and now your win now strategy. We don't even know if Kyrie Irving's going to be on the team next year. He's got a player option. There's no guarantees. You know, him and Anthony Davis are going to be talking in the offseason. What if they're like, let's go link up somewhere else? It's not going to happen here. Everything's on the table, especially after the way this trade deadline went. You know, when it comes, I'm not a financial advisor, but I've always been told, and what I learned throughout school was to lower your risk with all the money that you've made and you're investing into different markets. You probably want to diversify your portfolio a little bit in the event one of those markets were to crash. You wouldn't lose every single dollar. But then there's a strategy called YOLOing, which many of you in crypto and gambling are familiar with. And that is a strategy that you take every dollar and you put it in just one bet, one stock, and you better hope that stock goes up. But this stock got rugged by Nico Harrison. And there are no mulligans. There are no partial credits. It's going to zero every passing day. Woof. I feel bad, man. I really do. I have no dog in this fight. But it was just such unnecessary risk, and the bar was set so high because this team made the freaking finals last year. It made the finals, man. This wasn't like a first-round team that needed something different to raise their ceiling. They made the finals with Luka. His conditioning last night didn't look to be an issue either. You fix something that's not broken. And then the ownership group with the Mavericks, they don't know anything about basketball. They're just going to sign off on whatever Nico Harrison recommends. You got Patrick Dumont out there who's walking around the court getting booed, and he's like, why they're booing me? I had nothing to do with this, clearly. Question from the chat. Are we ready to admit that last year's Knicks team was much more fun? The Knicks are in action tonight. What are they, by the way? If you guys do enjoy wagering on sports and or dabbling, certainly support our new provider, our new sponsors here in Profit X. There's a reason why I'm using them on the screen right now. We like to reciprocate the love. They have found value in our community. And if this is something that interests you, we certainly encourage you to use ProfitX for all of your future needs. All right. Knicks are 7-point dogs tonight. Second leg of a back-to-back down in Inglewood against the Clippers. There's a question in the chat. Are we ready to admit that last year's Knicks team was much more fun? Blue collar team felt like they're from Queens and Brooklyn, and this year they feel like they're from Soho. Yeah, they have rich people problems, don't they? The Knicks certainly have rich people problems. The blue collar Knicks with DiVincenzo and Julius Randle, there was a lower ceiling, but they had to scrap every single night because they didn't have the talent to make up for taking their foot off the gas. And they have been more guilty than anyone out there this season. And taking a quarter off and then just relying on Jalen Brunson to be that break glass in case of emergency player there down the stretch to save him. And to his credit, he has done it time and time again. But when you play the Lakers and everyone's watching on national television and you see this offense is very unoriginal, and why would it be? Because Jalen Brunson just scores the basketball regardless. They go out there, they stink it up. Brunson gets hurt. Terrible ATO that gets picked off by Luka Doncic. That was unacceptable. And then that final play last night, by the way. So JJ Redick knows that the ball is going to Jalen Brunson. He allows Jalen Brunson to catch it unobstructed in the backcourt. And he does that on purpose because then he sends a double team the moment Jalen Brunson hits the logo and crosses half court. He sends the double team. To Brunson's credit, he was able to navigate it, slip through. And then I love doing this freeze frame shit because I'm a masochist. And I'm wondering, could he have made a better decision in that moment? And the answer is yes, because Karl-Anthony Towns was actually wide open down there in the dunker spot because LeBron James had stepped up to the free throw line to deny Mikal Bridges, who was slashing to the middle of the floor, as anyone in the corner is ever taught to do in the game. So Mikal Bridges is coming up there. He doesn't get the ball. LeBron, there's a freeze frame where Jalen Brunson's practically in midair with Cat standing wide open under the rim. We're having a completely different narrative, completely different opinion on what happened last night. And oh, by the way, Jalen Brunson doesn't get hurt either if he ends up making that pass to Karl-Anthony Towns, who would have surely just caught it, dunked it up and in. Instead, it goes out to Josh Hart. It's one of the few poor choices that Jalen Brunson, amongst thousands of the correct ones that he has made in quite some time. Josh Hart ends up scrambling with the basketball. He makes the shot, but it's after the buzzer, and we know what happened in overtime. So I'm not mad about having rich people problems. I think Karl-Anthony Towns' ceiling raises what this team is capable of. And his mere presence out there enables Jalen Brunson a lot more space than when it's Julius Randle. Jalen Brunson needs space to operate. And when he can, when he does, there's a reason why he's going to win Clutch Player of the Year. And the New York Knicks are one of the most clutch teams in the league, behind only the Cleveland Cavaliers until last night. So even when Cat isn't as engaged as he should be, his mere presence has unlocked this version of Jalen Brunson now. And for that, I am very enthused. What I'm not enthused about is how Karl-Anthony Towns is not getting up the quantity of shots necessary from the perimeter against these elite teams with elite defending wings, whether it's Jared Vanderbilt, whether it was against the Boston Celtics, you name any of those guys, even Al Horford counts. You have Caruso, J-Dub, Aaron Wiggins. All of these wings have found ways to make sure that Cat doesn't beat them from the outside. They're athletic, they're quick, they got foot speed, they close out, they have communications on switching. And it's prevented him from leaving his stamp offensively on pretty much every single one of those 9 games that the New York Knicks have lost this season to opponents that are in the top 2 of their respective conferences. I said in the post-game video last night, I was super proud of these guys because they made their own the Knicks' defensive commitment and met the magnitude of the moment for the first time in a long time. But yeah, it's different feelings, right? It's with expectations. It's not nearly as fun, which is why that question in the chat. Why I'm just went long-winded on that one for a second because yeah, I don't feel the same vibes. It's not nearly as fun to root for, but that's because we have higher expectations and there's more relief than there is happiness. And the Knicks, that just truth be told, the Knicks are not in a position to win a championship this year as currently constructed or with this defense. The Mitchell Robinson stuff, though, coming back and playing with Cat, that does pique my interest just a little bit. Let's take some more questions here because I know everyone doesn't want to hear about just the Knicks. Thoughts on the Blazers against the spread tonight? Okay, good question. Let's go to ProfitX. Where are they? So they're up against an Oklahoma City team. So that spread went from it's all the way down to 2.5. How many guys are out? I know Shea's out. I know Chet's questionable. I would imagine the rest of the team is practically out. Can the chat tell me how many guys are missing? Because that's -2.5 for a reason. Portland's been playing some good basketball. They just got wrecked in Boston by Peyton Pritchard and Derek White. But I do not want to take a Portland Trailblazers team. If I zoom in here a little bit, does this work? Let's see. Zooming. Yeah, it does. Okay. Zooming in on +2.5, -120. Man, they're taking on some serious money here. If I'm not mistaken, didn't this open at like, hey, it just changed. It just changed in real time. I didn't know ProfitX updates like that. Okay, so the way the ProfitX works, guys, is you have to request if there's no matching bet because it's a peer-to-peer exchange. You're not betting against a sports book. If I wanted to bet the Blazers +3, I would place the bet and wait for another person to come in and want to take Oklahoma City -3. But yeah, bouncing around 2.5 and 3 here. What else you guys got? I'm not interested in taking a number. I hate getting the worst of the number. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Mariah in the chat says, I love KD, but I can't see Ant trying too hard every night to prove himself. And that can lead to injury and exhaustion. Also, KD still plays great, but he's a little older. We already have older guys, LOL, and Rob is too shifty and young. I don't know. So you're asking about Kevin Durant going to the Minnesota Timberwolves in the offseason, right? That's what I would assume that's about. I do think he is ultimately traded, and he's doing this thing now. This is so Kevin Durant. He is like passionately playing hard, engaging with the fans, defending, loving Phoenix, because when he does get traded, he doesn't want the narrative to be Kevin Durant was unhappy yet again and wanted to be forced out. He's showing up to Ryan Dunn's brother's spring training game in Phoenix. He's defending Coach Budenholzer. He's going above and beyond to be this very good employee. But he is sharp as a thumbtack. He knows exactly what he's doing. And if and when he ultimately gets traded during the summer, he's doing his best because he's been down this road so many times to guarantee that you will not blame me for getting traded. Not this time. So sharp man right there. But how he fits in Minnesota and how that deal gets done, what are you going to have to give up? Julius Randle. You're going to have to give up Dillingham. You're going to have to give up. Phoenix is not just giving him away for free. They've already proved to you this year how far they're willing to go. You think the Dallas Mavericks situation is bad? Just look to Phoenix. Look to Philadelphia. What else you guys got? NHL trade deadline clears. That is blasphemy. I couldn't even tell you when it is. Knicks would be nothing without Brunson. Okay. The Pope is Catholic. What else? Let me zoom out for a second. I agree. Cat would have got it. I disagree a little bit. I know he needs spacing, but also needs a center who offensive rebounds. Mitch is a Randall guy. When he came back against Philly, Brunson looked clunky with him. What Brunson really misses is Hartenstein. All right. I can hear that point of view. But what pains me is why do we have to essentially expose Mikal Bridges to get one of those big performances out of him? Because we did that during the preseason, and then he figured out his jump shot really quickly. Remember those days when he had a hitch in the corner? And then he was having lackluster effort performances on Christmas Day against the San Antonio Spurs. He goes out there and kills it right when the chatter and his teammates are coming out there and defending him. He's had multiple big games this year, but it's always when the heat starts to turn up in the kitchen a little bit, right? You guys keep asking about the Blazers tonight. So, what is with you guys in the is this where everyone is focusing their money? Now you've got me. So they have I think they have player props on here too. Um Give me a second. View markets. They do. Okay. So Jeremy Grant, Caruso, Caruso's over 12 and a half. Kenrich Williams. Oh my God. Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins. Okay. Chet Holmgren's questionable. J Will, not J Dub. So I'm going to assume J Dub is out. That's still a good team though. To beware of, I don't care how many OKC starters are out or questionable. If they have Caruso today, Kenrich Williams, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, that team's going to score points. Is Hartenstein out? There's a reason why it's not being listed here. The Tumani guys, I know what is with all the Tumani Kamara stands out there, real quick. Sorry, I'm just reading some comments here. Oh, that's nice of you. Saturation said, just want to say, as a new to basketball Knicks fan, you've completely stepped up my enjoyment of the game and the team with your analysis. Hey, I appreciate that. As much as I push memes out on Twitter, that's what Twitter's for, is just talking shit. If you want to find actual genuine content, you kind of have to dig a little bit deeper. And whether it's the Knicks post-game videos or, the 3-hour show that I'm doing, I take the time to try and break it down in layman's terms as best as possible. Watching the games, might as well talk about them in that extent, right? Where was I? Oh, the Tumani Kamara situation. What is with all of his rabid fans? He has this hive of fans out there, like he's Derrick Rose or Kobe Bryant. They keep popping up in my mentions all the time. And what's funny about Tumani Kamara is the trade that he was originally involved in, he was supposed to be the throw-in piece. Here, take a flyer on this guy. Do you remember that trade? It involved Yusuf Nurkic. It involved DeAndre Ayton, and Tumani Kamara goes from Phoenix to Portland as incentive to make that swap. And then we know that Yusuf Nurkic is now in Charlotte. Just another short-sighted win now move by those Phoenix Suns. And you know the exact player that they need? They have 0 3 and D guys. They have plenty of 3 or D guys. They don't have any 3 and D. Tumani Kamara should make all defense easily. That man, what he did to Tyrese Maxey in Portland, he is inside of everyone's jersey. He is physical as all hell. He's nasty. He's essentially Dylan Brooks, but not nearly as annoying. Tumani Kamara, beast. What else you guys got? Employee of the month, Kevin Durant. Yes, he has been above and beyond a loyal soldier this month. He has defended the franchise. He's defended the coach, the fan base, his teammates, all the above. Sorry, every time I look over here, it's because I'm reading comments. I love that this ProfitX site updates in real time. I'm not used to that. Hartenstein is out. That makes sense, doesn't it? Anything else on your guys' mind that I'm missing? Sorry, just got a lot of comments to keep scrolling. KD was Employee of the Year in the Olympics, says B Stony 69. Why? Because he wasn't the one demanding the basketball that he had in the past. It was Steph Curry's show. I don't necessarily believe that, but I see where you're coming from. B Russ asks, what's the first round matchup that I'm most intrigued by? It's got to be in the West, right? Can we find a way So the West right now, the standings are. I'm gonna NBA sting. Give me a second. Give me a second. Okay, here we go. Can I share this tab instead? Does this work? Oh, it does work. Would you look at that? All right, we'll go back to the screen in just a second. But standings wise, it's going to be the Lakers. Listen, the Mavericks don't have a chance of making the playoffs, but they have. They have. This is how fucking sad the Phoenix Suns season is. The Mavericks are trying to give away the 10. Okay. Trying, quite literally. They gave away the 10 with the Luka Doncic trade and what happened. But they still have a 2.5 game lead, 2 games in the loss column over the Phoenix Suns, which is in the NBA pretty substantial. There's still a lot of basketball to be played. But if we can somehow get Golden State's surging too. Warriors Nuggets first round is an absolute banger. Grizzlies Rockets in the first round because of Dylan Brooks is a banger. Clippers Thunder, Kawhi and Harden against the Thunder is a banger. The most ideal would have been Anthony Davis is healthy. The Mavericks end up getting to the 7 to play the Lakers, but even then, Anthony Edwards against the Lakers would be this every matchup. If the season ended today as is, this would be phenomenal. Now, the Phoenix Suns are likely, I would think, even though they have the most difficult schedule remaining in the league, that they have a shot at that 10 seed because I just don't know when Dallas is going to win a game again. So they're going to battle with Portland for that 10. Can Phoenix kind of find their way into the play-in tournament to be that 1-8 matchup against the Thunder? There'd be a lot of star power. And wouldn't it be poetic if it was the Thunder to send Kevin Durant home in the playoffs? It's been a minute, right? So as is, I would say, is probably the most ideal. I love the 4-5 between the Grizzlies and Rockets. Warriors, Nuggets, Steph versus Jokic. Come on, must see TV. Lakers versus Ant Edwards and company. Clippers, Thunder, or Suns, Thunder. So then it would be Clippers in the 7. Even the Clippers, you could have Clippers, Lakers. We might get Clippers, Lakers in the first round. Whew. I don't think there's a way to have a bad first round series in the West. Any of those qualify. In the East, Bucks Pacers first round, just because of their history lately, is going to be fun. Those 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, those are both sweeps. And then Pistons Knicks will be a war. The Pistons, one of their most impressive wins of the season was at Madison Square Garden this year. Let's go back to this real quick. Pull up these game lines. How do I go back to how do I get out of here and NBA? NBA, I think. I want game lines. Give me game lines. Maybe if I go back. Okay, that did the trick. I didn't think it was that easy. All right. More comments. Sorry. I've got it on the side of the screen here. So keep chatting away and I'll keep responding. Explain my view on Castle. How high is his ceiling to you? I thought for a second you were going to accuse me of having him as my rookie of the year. Why do Grizzlies fans think Jalen Wells is still rookie of the year? Have you seen some of the shit Castle's doing out here? First of all, his on-ball defense. He's one of the few defenders in San Antonio right now that can hold his own. I love his mid-range game, his finishing ability. And the man always finds space off the ball. He's always in the right place at the right time. Let's see. Christian Brown for MIP. Yeah, he might be on the podium, but no one's going to beat Cade at the moment. And don't give me the whole. This is so ridiculous. Everyone's like, he's a former number one overall pick. They can't be improved. They're already good. They're hyped to be good. Cade is much better now than he was previously. And part of that is because he is surrounded with talent that's actually making shots from the shit he creates. So finally, that box score is catching up to everything that he does. But how he has been able to control offenses and create gravity from 30 feet away has not been reliant on him shooting like Steph Curry or Damian Lillard or Trae Young. This guy is so big and so controlling of the offense that you see blitzes, you see switching, you see strategies in trying to get the ball out of his hands. And similar to Luka, he is so tall and so big that he's always passing over the top because he can see everything. This guy is a huge, huge point guard. And we take his finishing ability for granted too. His vision, his execution, his accuracy, it has improved. He's always been talented, but the potential has become reality this season. What's up, Coach New? It's been a minute. You know I got that vision, Coach Newman. You know I got that court vision. And I can recognize when someone else has that court vision too. What else we got today, folks? Any futures I currently like? You seem to crush these in the past. So the futures that I'm sitting on right now, the good news is I have amazing numbers. Let's pull those up on the screen too. The good news is I have amazing numbers. The bad news is they're probably not going to cash. I have the Rockets at like 80 to 1 to win the West. I have the Grizzlies at like 40 to 1 to win the West. Those are ludicrous numbers, but it's probably not happening. My big one is the Atlanta Hawks to make the playoffs, which is nearly plus 200. So I have their season win total over as well as them to make the playoffs. Let's see. Fun markets, NBA. Do we do futures on here? I don't know if we do futures. It might just because it's peer-to-peer exchange. Maybe fun markets. Okay, I don't know what this is. Unk versus athlete. Don't know what that is. I'm going to need to follow up with ProfitX on that one. But NBA, maybe there's no futures on the side. But is there anything I would like right now in regards to futures? So I won't publish my official playoff predictions until the day before, but the Boston Celtics are going to win the title again until further notice. Unless there's a major injury or suspension, Boston Celtics are going to be back-to-back champs. With that said, is there a way to attack a future somewhere in there? Where I'm going to look is probably Denver in the West if they end up falling behind in a series, down 0-1 or like 2-1. You'll be able to get a number that's double digits. Might be able to find a 10 to 1 out there at that point. But as long as Nikola Jokic is on that team, he is unanimously the best basketball player on earth. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is probably going to win MVP, but his impact is greater than ever. So to answer your question, is there any futures left out there? Maybe with those individual awards. Sixth man of the year, Malik Beasley would be my recommendation. I think he's in second place right now. And you can probably get him at what, plus 200, plus 230. Peyton Pritchard just had a monster performance that's going to buy him another week. But if he didn't have that performance, I was actually going to write in Malik Beasley for my later in the clubhouse for sixth man of the year. I think Beasley is very close. And if he ends up having another one of those weeks, if Peyton Pritchard cools off, this number it won't get any better than this. Yeah, Lakers Warriors playoff series, I think that would be okay too. We're overdue, Coach Newman. Get in the stance. I tried. You're the only game of basketball I've played in the last The one time that we went to go shoot around is the only time that I've played in the last 3 years. So you haven't missed much. Memphis to win the West, yeah, that's just looking bleak, especially without Jaren Jackson Jr. I mean, there was a take that I had a long time ago. I think some of my I don't know how many long-term followers are still here, but um, when Jaren Jackson Jr. completed his rookie campaign, said the Memphis Grizzlies will win a title if Jaren Jackson Jr. is the best player on their team, which is insane because John Morant and where he's evolved to, and if he's the obvious star there. But now that Jaren Jackson Jr. is like borderline defensive player of the year, he has improved his 3-point game. He's not getting into extreme foul trouble immediately. He is the best player on that team now. He is. He most certainly is. And that would technically put them in a position to win the title based on my original hypothesis. But the West is just so like they're the true parity's in the West because there's only 4 teams that you can think of right now. I'm going to start to include the Lakers. It's the Lakers, the Thunder, the Cavs, and the Celtics. Really, the 4 only teams out there who can win an NBA championship. I thought this was supposed to be the era of parity. No, it's still very much top heavy. It's just that there's a lot of teams in the West who are going to be fighting each other like a scene out of Anchorman where all the crews go to battle. Lamette Campbell says Beasley's plus 275 now. Locusts are still here. A couple of them still left over after our many migrations. Yeah, Beasley, if I'm asked for the best future on the board, Malik Beasley plus 275 is probably it for me to win 6th man of the year. If the season ended today, Peyton Pritchard would get the votes, but who knows? We just saw Victor Wembanyama was favored 1-15, 1-25, and the only way that he could lose that award is if he was out for the season within the next 2 weeks. And guess what happened? So Peyton Pritchard could get an injury, get a suspension, whatever you name it. Let's see some of these other questions in the chat. What else you guys got? We used to do one of these shows a couple years ago. It was called Load Mismanagement. It's getting you ready for tip off of some heavy slates. So if you guys have any questions about things to look forward to tonight and this weekend, feel free to drop those in there. That's the whole reason for working with ProfitX is if there's something that pops up. There just hasn't been any news. I have the alerts set up here that if there's a big roster change, then hopefully I'm going to jump in on it before the number updates. I love myself some closing line value, but anything on the board right now? Adrian in the chat is asking, you don't see the Cavs giving the Celtics big problems. Porzingis will be injured for sure. Well, Adrian, the good news for the Cavs is they will have home court advantage more than likely, which means game 1 and more importantly, game 5. Well, and obviously game 7, but game 5 will be played in Cleveland. Why is that important? Because the season series splits 2-2. They will both win 1 game on the road and 1 game at home. While the Celtics stopped the winning streak at the beginning of the season, the Cavs come back in their most recent affair. The two have battled, they have skirmished, and the war is not over. I do think it feels like an inevitability that the two of them will be in the conference finals. And when they are, I do think game 5 will have the series tied 2-2. We will head back to Cleveland, and the winner of game 5 will win that series. And I think the winner of that game will end up being the Boston Celtics. But your question about Porzingis being in and out of the lineup, he's always injured, man. Celtics got 4 centers. Like, you can put Neemias Queta out there, and it won't be a complete liability if you need to in an emergency. But between Porzingis and Horford, they can run those dual center lineups to combat what Allen and Evan Mobley do best. Porzingis stretches the floor. Does this guy ever fucking miss? It's just the Celtics are so perfect. They dribble, penetrate. They make you send help. And then they always drive and kick, and Peyton Pritchard's there, Derek White is there, Al Horford is there to always make that damn shot. They got so many guys that can break you down off the dribble. If you don't send help, well, then it's Tatum and Brown one-on-one to the rim. They have rewritten how to optimally play the game of basketball. And don't try and emulate or replicate what they're doing. Some teams have tried that this year. You're not the Celtics. You don't have their quality of players. You don't have their quality of shooters. I don't know how to beat them. I really don't. Do you try and bludgeon them inside with bigs? Well, if you have two centers on the floor like Cat and Mitchell Robinson, if you put that lineup out there, how the hell are they going to close out against a 5-out, 0-in offense? Mitchell Robinson's damn good at closing out, but man, there's a reason why this team just continues to get blown out every single time. I don't know how you beat them. I really don't. The Cavs have shown us certainly the formula for it, but it does not seem sustainable 4 out of 7 times. Maybe 3 out of 5. Sudden death for sure, but 4 out of 7 to beat that Boston Celtics team, considering the quantity of threes that they're open threes that they're going to have to miss. I can't get there. You guys keep arguing about it. So it's plus 300 for Malik Beasley, 6-man. I would look it up on ProfitX. I just can't find the futures. Someone said it's Pritchard minus 200. Yeah, that makes sense. OKC is still minus 2 tonight, despite their top 6 rotation pieces being out. So last time we checked, it was actually minus 3. Let's see. Oh, now it's down to 2. This number's jumping all around. So last time we checked in, it went from 2.5 to 3. Now it's back down to 2. Money pouring in on the Blazers. I would not bet against OKC. That second unit can play. Isaiah Joe, Caruso, Kenrich Williams, Aaron Wiggins is going to go for like 35 tonight probably. And he will see a lot of Toumani Camara. Now it's down to 1. What is going on here? Did I miss news? Why is it going down? Now it's at 3. Are you guys messing with me? I think ProfitX might be messing with me. It's fluctuating between 3 and 1. That's a huge jump. I don't know what to tell you. But it is 3:58 p.m. Pacific time. My time here has expired. I'm going to go grab something to eat and get ready for tonight's games, which tip off in about 10 minutes. But we will be back here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Let's make this a regular thing, shall we? Yeah, y'all should. If you guys like volatility, you do need to come to ProfitX, just because this number continues to jump around unlike anything I've seen. Like, actual real bettors, traders are looking for volatility, and it's clearly here as this number goes back and forth. Yeah, like the chat's putting in those the 2 graphs. That is volatile. But yeah, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we'll be in around, let's call it 3:15-ish Pacific time. We'll run until the top of the hour. And it doesn't have to be about basketball, just basketball either. If you want to ask me anything, this is meant to be a personal one-on-one session with the chat. You can also check in on my beard if that's something that interests you. Maybe get some shots up. Coach new. Other than that, it is Friday too, by the way. Chases breed chases last time I checked. I don't know if it's a payday here in Los Angeles, but things tend to get a little frisky on the streets in LA. Maybe there'll be a chase. But until next time, tell your friends we're live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Continue to use ProfitX for your wagering ventures, if that is something you are so interested in. And until next time, see you guys on the timeline. Deuces.